thing we have as a country now is the peace that we are enjoying. Because with the peace, everything can go on. If we distort it now, nothing can go on. See, you will be hungry more than me. And it is a fact. Because when there is war, I will still feed. I will get food from everywhere because I'll come and beat you and collect your food. And I will feed. And it is a fact. I am hungry. You think if I see food with you and I have weapon, I will not kill you and take it? I will do. So it means that you will suffer more than me. And I don't want you to suffer. So I will beat the hell out of you. So please, if you want us to continue to live in peace, so that we can come around and then be talking to you and then be happy with you, then these elections, let's maintain the peace that we are enjoying. On the 7th, we'll be selecting our new leaders for the next 4 years. Let me be very honest with you that nobody thinks about you. I am telling you here that I will only come in this 7th December within the Achiase enclave. When police tells me that they cannot, and when I come, I will not talk. I will beat you and the hell will leave. I always want people to try me. So those of us seated here, any of you can try me on that day, or try any of my men on that day. When you go to the polling station, just cast your vote, go home, go and sleep. Thank you. When it is 5 p.m., come. They will tell you where to stand. They will count for you. If you win, clap, go home. Then you will not have any problem with me and then my people. We are not going to sit down for just 2 or 3 people to distort the peace that Ghana is enjoying. That is why I don't vote. I don't want to belong to anybody, but I want to beat everybody. We have a duty as religion or religious heads, as security heads, as family heads, as individuals, to protect the good things that we have as a country. And the only good thing we have as a country now is the peace that we are enjoying. Because with the peace, everything can go on. If we distort it now, nothing can go on. See, you will be hungry more than me. And it is a fact. Because when there is war, I will still feed. I will get food from everywhere because I'll come and beat you and collect your food. And I will feed. And it is a fact. I am hungry. You think if I see food with you and I have
to the police, to the right authority, we must not allow what happened in 2022 to 2020, which derailed our democratic process and dented our image to continue in 2024. Remember, we have come very far. 2012, we have relatively peaceful election. 2016, we had a very peaceful election. Then all of a sudden, 2020, people decided to kill 20 people with impunity because no investigation has been conducted into it. Or if there is some investigation, nobody knows about it. So citizens must be ready to protect their votes. That is my message.
That's quite interesting because you're talking about peace. And if you listen to him carefully, one of the reasons he says he will beat our people is to safeguard the peace. Is that not a reason to ensure that citizens do not misbehave?
Is that to safeguard the peace by beating people up? When people misconduct themselves, they are arrested. In any case, there are procedures by which military intervene in this matter. This whole election is for Election Security Task Force. The deployments are done in such a way that the military are never at the forefront. They are never at the forefront. And they are only called in when situations become critical. And then the police will withdraw, and then they will come in. But even that, You remember that there are laws, even during war. We have what we call war crimes. In international humanitarian law, we have what we call war crimes. So even when you have declared war, there are rules and regulations. So you don't just say that once they call me, I'll not ask you anything, I'll just beat you. That is a reckless statement from a very unprofessional officer. When they call you in, you have to use your senses, you have to use your reasoning. You have to go by the rules of engagement. And the rules of engagement are guided by international humanitarian law, one of which even says that when you capture an enemy, you don't even humiliate or even torture or do it or kill that person or torture that person. And so if we have declared war in Ghana, that is God forbid, but even if they are called in, when the situation becomes unbearable, we are supposed to go according to the law and the rules of engagement. So no matter how you look at it, those statements were reckless, coming from a reckless officer.
Because now he says he might be calling. What do you think should happen? Should this exclude him from the elections altogether?
Definitely, from what we have heard, I think that we must watch out that such a character is not deployed at all. And people, we have seen his face, we know his command, and we must watch out for the constituency where he is, and also be careful and watch out for any action from those soldiers around us. Remember that he was talking to soldiers and talking to some other people, and people were clapping. I don't know who were clapping, but there were soldiers around him. The fact remains that this person with such mentality must not be deployed. We have situations where certain people are not deployed during elections. When we look at their psychological makeup, when we feel that they are not fit, when we feel that they have a health problem, when we feel that they have a mental attitude and problem, then we must not deploy such people. This officer definitely, with such mentality, should not be deployed. And if we were living in normal times, this person should be relieved of his position. But unfortunately, I don't see that to be happening. We can only watch and be vigilant and document things like this, so that in future, should there be any problem, people like this must be taken on.
Okay, you landed by saying if we were living in normal times. Are you suggesting that these are not normal times? And what make these times not normal?
You know, we have a lot of impunity in this system. We are practicing democracy. But you know, I think that certain autocratic regimes are better than this kind of system that we are practicing, where people are tried without any, based on flimsy charges and other things. Look at the way people are being deployed. Soldiers beat people in Ashama and all other places, and nobody says anything. Commander-in-Chief has nothing to say about it. The military high command is quiet over it. They can move. So you see, there's a track record that is being built in this particular era and this particular period, which is gradually getting us into this election, and we must watch out for it. The impunity. The actions of soldiers within the past 7.5 years to 8 years, none of which have been punished. And this is what is giving them the edge to do what they are doing. And that's why we must watch out as citizens. I am not, look, within me, I would love this election to be peaceful. But I'm telling you that for me, from the snippets of things that I'm seeing and from my experience, every 8-year election and particularly from 2000. Look at the year 2000. There was tension because one party has finished 8-year term and they were leaving. 2008, we saw the same thing. 2016, there was a lot of tension, but we managed it and made sure by the grace of God and by the experiences of those who were working and by the fact that no politician interfered in the affairs of the National Election Security Task Force, together with Mr. Onu and Mr. Kudalo and other people, we were able to execute an election where not even a fly died. Now, 2024 is another critical election where the stakes are very high, extremely very high. But when you look back at 2020, where people were killed with impunity because nothing was done, then there is a likelihood that certain things could be repeated, similar things could be repeated. And that is why I am calling for the fact that people like this should be excluded, and the military, we must use them wisely. Their deployment should be strategic to places like maybe I'm just speaking from my experiences, volatile areas like Boku, but not even at the polling stations or the collation centers. They should never come close to that point, those points. The Burkina Faso borders, etc. I can tell you that in 2016, even on the borders, we deployed police, not military. We deployed police, not military. We had over almost 100 pickups, new pickups, and then we trained police officers, not military officers, and deployed them along all the routes of Ghana to Togo, to Burkina Faso, and to Cote d'Ivoire. We made them wear UN helmets and other paraphernalia. And so they were quite different, and anybody who saw them as symbols of peace. These are some of the things we did to protect and to ensure that there was peaceful election in 2016. I don't see some of these things happening. Look at the National Election Security Task Force. They are not speaking to anybody. They are not communicating with the media. What we saw yesterday was that PID people, police intelligence departments, who are meant to be undercover agents, are now the ones who will be the media liaison officers. Where did we go wrong? That we should have this kind of arrangement this time. And I think that either Dampare has something to hide, or he's showing gross incompetence, because you see, you can't have undercover people now becoming liaison officers for the media. So they seem to be undercover people.
Okay.
And then another thing we must watch out for. We all know the stories associated with the PID, and particularly under Dampare. All the allegations of killings, and I'm using my first advisory, all the allegations of killings are alleged to be perpetrated by the PID. How then do we have the PID as the media liaison officers for this election? I mean, we must think through. The political parties must open their eyes. Something is happening that we must really open our eyes and see.
You're suggesting that making undercover police officers, media liaison officers, essentially exposes them, and secondly, per their record, they should not be given this task.
Absolutely. Those are the 2 points I made. It exposes them because they are supposed to be undercover agents. And you know, what I have seen is that 2 or 3 are allotted to various. I don't know about Radio Gold. I believe that they have allotted 1 or 2 people to you. So
not yet.
People are, the regional commanders are there. The district commanders are there. The divisional commanders are there. What is Dampare hiding? That he wants the PID to be the liaison officers and not the commanders. If he doesn't trust in the commanders, then we don't also trust in him because he's also a commander.
Interesting. Well, if you just join, I'm speaking to ACP retired Dr. Benjamin Agordzo, making comments on even the security arrangements for the elections. In fact, one of the reasons we called you is the national SWAT team. You said that the national SWAT is illegal and must be excluded from the elections. Explain.
First of all, who are the national SWAT team? The national SWAT team here is referring to the national SWAT team and the national security. Okay? The police have their own SWAT unit, which is one of the operational units, and it's been there for a very long time. Then, all of a sudden, the national security decided to recruit, train, and deploy certain people, and they call them national SWAT. First of all, I'm saying that it is illegal, it is unlawful, it is not backed by the Constitution. The Constitution says that there shall be only one police service, and that no other police service could be created except by an act of parliament. And therefore, whatever national security has created is an illegality. The political parties must watch out for this. Remember their track record. Remember who they are. Most of them, and almost all of them, are political vigilantes as aligned to the government in power. See their action in Ayawasu West Wogon. No typical police, they behave like rebels. And that's who they were, and they are. And therefore, if we allow those people to be deployed, and we think that it is normal because they are called national SWAT, then our election could be endangered. Our peace could be endangered. Now, not only am I calling for the fact that they should not be deployed, they should also not be deployed in any disguised manner. Because there's a high possibility of those people, now that we are calling on them not to be deployed, they could be used in some other way, by way of wearing police uniform. Anything is possible. We have been in this business for some time now. And I can tell you that in some situations, certain people are allowed to wear uniform for particular purposes. Let's be wary, let's be watchful that these people are not then transitioned and transformed into wearing police uniforms. And that is why I'm calling on any police officer being deployed, his or her name should be there. We should see it. We should have, they must wear armbands, which indicates that they have the authority to police the elections. And their faces must show. They should not cover their faces. Police officers deployed for this should not be covering their faces. Because if they are covering their faces and they are committing crimes, they do that with reckless abandon because they know they are not being seen. Nobody can recognize them. No police officer in uniform to go to the polling station or collation center with any hoods in the face and covering their faces that they cannot be seen. Those are all signs of their readiness to misbehave or do things that are untoward. Political parties must watch out for all these things. Because you think that they are deployed, they are in uniform, they are whatever, but at the same time they can perpetuate all kinds of things upon the citizens and mar our election. This is my call.
Just by way of education. Now, you said there's a SWAT unit under the Ghana Police Service.
Yes.
Exactly what do they do, and can they be used for elections?
The SWAT team under Ghana Police Service is an operational team. So they can be used for patrols. You see, there are different levels of deployment. You can deploy people at the, particularly in 2016, what we did was, not just 2016, 2012 as well. What the police did, the National Election Security Task Force did, was to deploy people at the polling station, at the collation centers, and then and then make sure that a number of polling stations and around a number of polling stations, they create patrol teams that could be called upon any time to intervene in an issue. Such people are armed, and therefore they just intervene and go back. Okay, and they are all police. And so the SWAT team, together with other operational units, could be combined into to work. The CTUs and other people, counterterrorism units and other things, could constitute patrol teams that could be going around to check whether things are normal and other things, and could be called upon at any point in time to intervene. So the SWAT team under the Ghana Police Service have always been used, and we can use them. But I'm talking about the National Security SWAT team, which comprises political vigilante members aligned to the government, whose training we do not know, whose orientation we know is aligned to the government, and whose actions we have seen at also West Wuogon. I don't think that we want such people to be deployed for an election such as this.
Well, very interesting. And your caution is to the political parties and to the public.
And to the IGP himself.
Okay.
And to the IGP. I'm speaking specifically to everybody.
Okay.
You see, that's one of the challenges I have with this IGP. The challenge is that you don't develop a blueprint before meeting the political parties. You don't develop a proposal or a policy. Policy requires that you do wide engagement with those who matter, the stakeholders. And this is what we have always done in the police service. Now, the IGP is saying that it has taken them 2 years to plan this election. Unfortunately, 2 weeks to time before it's meeting political parties and other stakeholders. And in the last election, about 5 days ago or 4 days ago, when he met the CSOs and the media, he said he was now going to subject the blueprint to the scrutiny of the CSO, so that they can make some input before they find. How could you use 2 years? What was he doing? Was he sleeping within this period and pretending to be working? Before you come out with such a blueprint, you should have done wide consultation and then taken their concerns of all stakeholders, people living with disabilities, the political parties, the media, Christian Council, Catholic Bishops Conference, and all kinds of people. Then you take input from them and then use it as part of the blueprint. You don't finish developing a blueprint before. So the concerns I'm expressing now are to the IGP to ensure that he takes charge, and I'm happy. I'm happy that there are a few things that I must say that the IGP has done right. A few days ago, he said that he was never going to deploy any soldier at the polling station. If I got him right, I stand to be corrected. But that's what I thought I heard.
Yes,
that
he said
not going to deploy any soldier at the collation center and at the polling station. That is very good. I also understand that the police are going to use one kind of uniform. In fact, one of the commendable things this IGP did was to ensure that every police officer wears black. So blue, black, and other things are no longer in vogue. So this time, my understanding is that all of them are going to wear camo. I understand that similarly, the fire service, immigration, and all those people are all going to wear their camos. So that those people could be identified with their names, but I'm also urging him to add the armband to it. For all those people who will be performing such duties, they must do so with the armband, which is the authority or for that election policing. But specifically, the IGP should ensure that, in addition to excluding the soldiers, the National Security SWAT should not be seen patrolling in town, should not be seen around any polling station. They don't have the mandate to do that. They are an illegality, and the IGP should watch out for it, because once it happens, there is a likelihood that the election will be compromised.
Doc, I want to thank you for speaking to me. Just that there's one thing you said about the elections. You said you can feel tension. There are those who say you don't feel any fever around this election. The tensions are not palpable. You won't even. In fact, the IGP himself said there was a Kenyan who visited him who said until he went to his office and that I have a conversation with him, he didn't realize there was an election going to happen in Ghana. But you seem to say there's tensions. How?
I think, I don't know whether I use the word tension, but I'm saying that this election is very critical to the extent that it is after the 8-year term of a political party. Remember the winner takes all thing that we have in Ghana. So another party is eager to take over, and for the first time, breaking the 8th mantra is there for another party, the same party, to remain. Now, there are other signs of the impunity of the 2020 election where people were killed at various polling stations and soldiers invading all this. Now, the other political parties are also working to counteract such a thing. And that is why some of us are speaking out. Look, some of us are making this noise not because we hate somebody or the other, or we are necessarily affiliated to a political party or the other. Of course, there are parties that have not treated some of us well, so we don't sympathize with them. We don't wish them well. That one is an issue I can talk about anytime, anywhere. I don't wish them well. But I will also want us to guard against certain things. The possibility that people want to entrench themselves in power, people who want to win by all means, at all costs, by any means, and therefore there is also the possibility of political interference where the military could be used. Now that we are talking about the fact that they will not come there in uniform, there is a possibility of them coming in another form. And that is why I'm also calling on citizens to be very vigilant, and protect their votes. Citizens' power is so it's something you cannot beat. When people are determined that, look, they'll protect their vote, it doesn't matter whether you come with machine guns or whatever. You can only kill a few people, they will still protect their vote. There should not be a situation where somebody just shoots at a polling station and then everybody begins to run away. People must stand their ground. And I believe that other political parties are also ready to stand their ground and to make sure that they protect their votes. This is where the problem is. You may not see the tension that you have mentioned openly manifesting, but beneath it, and with my experience, in 2016 we saw political vigilantes and other things, and so we were able to stem the tide by way of engaging them and talking to them and making them sign the Adan Declaration and other things, and it worked for us. This is one election that everybody appears to be talking about issues, but underneath, a lot of things are boiling. You may not see it, but some of us see it because of the experiences that we have. And that is the reason why we are calling for the fact that certain people should not be deployed. That soldier should not be deployed. And national security should not dare deploy anybody in any disguised manner, because people's eyes are wide open and they are ready to defend their votes.
Are you worried about the influx of firearms into the country? Recent sieges at the ports?
Definitely yes. One of the things that we must also be concerned about is the possibility of terrorists and other people also infiltrating during this same time. And that's why a certain strategic deployment by the military is also very important. But I'm concerned about the proliferation of small arms and other things, the importation of these arms and other things, some of which were seized recently. And only God knows the ones that have found themselves into our communities without us seeing them. And so we must be very much concerned. And that is why I was saying that people may even be armed and come to the polling stations without being in uniform. Remember that the policeman at the police station is not supposed to carry uniform. And therefore, somebody, 2 or 3 people or 4 people, jump into the polling station in the twinkle of an eye, can decide that they are doing something untoward when they realize things are not going right, especially during the counting period. That's the most critical period. And that is why we must watch out. So I'm really concerned about the influx of arms into the country. And I don't know what national security is doing about it. But it's of concern to me as well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
ACP retired Dr. Benjamin Agordzo is a retired